Factoring when a equals 1. We're going to look at some puzzles first and see what you think about those. So we're trying to figure out what numbers go in these missing spots here and here. So what numbers can you multiply together to get 15? And what two numbers can you add together to get 8? So if we look at that one, what two numbers are going to multiply together? That would be 3 and 5. They multiply to be 15, and they also add to be 8. The next one, what two numbers multiply to be 24 and add to be 10? Those two numbers are 6 and 4. 6 times 4 is 24, and 6 plus 4 is 10. What two numbers can multiply to 12 and add to be negative 8? Those two numbers are going to be negative, undo that. Yep, negative 6. Oh, goodness. Negative 6 and negative 2. Two negatives multiply to be a positive, and when you add negative 6 to negative 2, it makes negative 8. The last one, what two numbers multiply to be negative 30 and add to be 13? Actually, I think I messed that one up. But it should be negative 10, and I'm going to change that. Change that number to well, I'm going to change this number here because I messed that up. Negative 7. We'll do it like that. Sorry about that. Okay, so what two numbers multiply together to be negative 30 and combine together to be negative 7? So those two numbers are going to be negative 10 and 3. This 3 is positive because we have to multiply two numbers together to be negative. And here we have a negative 7, so your larger number needs to be negative. So negative 10 plus 3 would be your negative 7. So I want you to think about these equations that we're going to look at as puzzles just like that. So here, when we have an equation, we need to figure out what numbers are going to multiply to be C, which is the last number, and add together to be B, which is the middle term. Okay. So what two numbers are going to multiply to 12 and add to 7? So those two numbers are going to be 3 and 4. And so those two numbers are 3 and 4. All right, getting into finding those factors and those solutions. So we're going to put in what two numbers multiply to be 20 and add to be 9. So those two numbers would be 5 and 4. We can write those as factors, x plus 5 and x plus 4. We could set each of those equal to 0, and we would get x plus 5 equals 0, and x plus 4 equals 0. And then we would know that our solutions, if we subtract 5 from both sides, our solutions would be x equals negative 5 and x equals negative 4. Looking at number 2, we can go ahead and draw in our own x this time. So we're looking for what two numbers multiply to be 18 and add to be 9. Those two numbers are going to be 6 and 3. So your factors are x plus 6 and x plus 3. which would then make your solutions be, we're going to use the shortcut method on this, x equals negative 6 and x equals negative 3. Next one, we're going to make our own x. What two numbers multiply to be negative 18 and add to be 3? Well, 6 times 3 is 18. And then we need to figure out how to get a positive 3 down there. So we need our larger number to be positive. So 6 minus 3 is 3. So our factors are going to be x plus 6 and x minus 3. Shortcut method, those solutions are x equals negative 6 and x equals positive 3. All right. What two numbers multiply to negative 45 and add to be positive 4? One of those numbers has to be negative because when they multiply together, they have to be negative. So 9 times 5 is 45. And how could I get 9 and 5 to combine together to be 4? We could do 9 minus 5, and that would give us 4. So our factors are x plus 9 and x minus 5. And the solutions are x equals negative 9 and x equals 5. Couple more. We've got what multiplies to negative 3 and adds to negative 2. So we have 3 and 1. 3 times 1 is 3. And we need to combine those together to get negative 2. So that 3 must be negative. Those factors are x minus 3 and x plus 1. So your solutions are x equals 3 and x equals negative 1. All right, what numbers are going to multiply to 24 and add to negative 11? Well, we have a bunch of different options that multiply to 24, but we need them to also add to be negative 11. We could try 6 and 4, but 6 and 4 will never add or subtract to be 11, so it's definitely not 6 and 4. Then we could try 2 and 12. They multiply together to be 14, but they will never add or subtract to be negative 11. So we can go with the final answer, which would be 8 and 3. So 8 times 3 is 24, and negative 8 and negative 3 would make negative 11. So your factors are x minus 8 and x minus 3. So the solutions are x equals 8 and x equals 3. All right. The next two are super easy. They look a little different, but we have the last number is without a variable, our constant, is our C value. That's the one that goes up top to be multiplied. So what two numbers multiply to be negative 64, but they're actually going to add to be 0? And the only numbers that add to be 0 would be like opposite numbers. So we're going to have, in here, we're going to have a negative 8 and a positive 8. So your factors are x minus 8 and x plus 8. So your solutions are x equals 8 and x equals negative 8. And last but not least, we have another one where we have a missing b value. So what multiplies to negative 100 and adds to be 0? Those two numbers are going to be 10 and negative 10. So your factors are x plus 10 and x minus 10. So your solutions are x equals negative 10 and x equals positive 10.